If you want to start strength training, but you don't know where to begin, we are going to show you the foundation of building upper body and lower body strength using weights. Body weight strength training is great as a starting point, but that's exactly what it is. You are not going to progress in building muscle, strong bones, staying and maintaining resilience as you get older if you are only doing body weight exercises. At some point, you have to start progressing your weight, using heavier weights and building that up over time. So this is where we started in our strength training journey with these foundational exercises of upper body and lower body. We're going to demonstrate with Marty with you today. This is a fantastic starting point that you can just take from us and start today. Let's start with lower body. You can follow along with us with the cues I give you and then also the reps that we add in. So you are going to need some weights. Grab whatever is like a fairly heavy weight to start with. People underestimate how much our lower body can actually tolerate. Martin's just got a 10-kilo dumbbell. You can use a dumbbell or a kettlebell. And remembering, if you don't have anything like specific right now for your lower body, if you can do around 8 to 10 reps, no problem. It's an indication the weight might be a little bit light and you can probably push yourself the next time you try and do this. So squat first. This is a goblet squat. You're going to hold the weight really close to your chest with the hands pointing out and the elbows tucked right in. What a lot of people do wrong here is they have the weight holding out. Your arms shouldn't feel like you're holding it. It should be pressed up against your chest. With your stance, make sure your feet are not too narrow but also not too wide. So it's slightly wider than your hips. Toes can be slightly pointed out here. If you feel like you need a wider stance to get the depth, you can definitely start a little bit wider. You really need to maintain your chest being proud and open and upright, and you're going to maintain that uprightness as you bend the knees and come down. Weight through those heels and you're going to press those heels into the ground as you drive up. Don't rush the bottom of your squat. So even have like a slight pause so we can strengthen your knees in this end range and then drive it up. What you don't want to do is have a hinge or lean forward as you come down and come up in that way. I want you to imagine like there's a wall in front of you. You need to maintain that uprightness. If you want to add in your breath, it's an inhale to go down and an exhale to press up. So let's do 6 all together when you are ready. I also just want to add, if you've just tried it now and you feel like that your depth is not there or you feel like your ankles are a bit restricted to get proper depth, you can absolutely elevate your heels to start with. So it doesn't have to be a huge elevation, maybe a rolled up yoga mat or towel, and you can still get yourself in that wider stance, maybe go a little bit wider, toes pointing out, and it's the same thing. Keep the weight in the heels as you inhale to go down, exhale to come up. So whether you're using the mat or no mat, let's do 6 reps all together. So we're going to go inhale down, small pause at the bottom, exhale, drive it up. And again, inhale down, press through those heels, drive it up, maintain a proud upright chest. Inhale down, exhale, straight up, keep the weight nice and pressing up against you, staying upright. Awesome. Let's go for 2 more. Inhale down, exhale, drive it up. Last one here, inhale down, keeping that chest upright, shoulders back, exhale, drive it up. Awesome. So let's move on. The second basic movement pattern we want to share with you is a deadlift or a hinge pattern, which a lot of people are afraid of, but we use this hinge every day if we're picking up anything from the floor. Often we're not just picking it up like this, we're actually hinging and using our back of our legs, our glutes as we come upright, and that is the main emphasis of this exercise. So you can use 1 kettlebell or weight or 2, even if you need to elevate it slightly using like a block to get it up off the ground. If you feel like your range is not there yet, you can absolutely do that. The good thing about the kettlebell is they're a bit taller, so you probably don't need it if you have a kettlebell. And if you have 2, they'll be right underneath you, underneath your shoulders. If you have 1, you'll just bringing both hands into the middle. So again, you can use either dumbbell or kettlebell for this exercise. All right, so we're gonna go with a really classic variation of just keeping the feet hip width apart, toes pointing out. So to get your setup, what I want you to remember is with the hinge is we're not rounding the back at any point. So I want you to imagine the spinal curves in your back stay exactly the same. There's no rounding to get there, and you're sticking your sit bones, these bones at the back of your bum, behind you. So you can have either a straight leg or slightly unlocked, might feel more comfortable to start with. You're going to send those hip bones back and get that flat back. And if you bring your hands underneath you, you'll probably find you should be able to reach the weight without rounding or getting any excessive movement through the back. So as we come up, before you lift the weight, I want you to engage your lat, so pull the shoulders down away from the ears, engage your core, press the heels into the ground, and by just doing that, even when you don't move, you should feel the back of your legs and glutes activate. And then on your exhale, you're driving it up. Inhale to come down, sit bones go back. You can see Marty's back is flat. He's not actually using his back to bring the weight up. It's all a hinge motion to come upright and then sending the hips back, maintaining that flat back. Okay, so now you've had a practice. Let's do our 6. So hip width apart with your legs, toes pointing forward. We're going to hinge down to pick up our weight, flat back, shoulders away from your ears, engage your lats, core onto support you. Exhale and come up, inhale and coming down. Exhale, engage, coming up, inhale, down. Really maintaining this really simple pattern. That's 3. Reset each time. He's going to change. Good, keep going if you like. We'll go for 4. Hinge, engage and come up. 5. Hinge, engage the back of the legs, come up. And last one, 6. Hinge, you should feel that active stretch in the back of the legs, and we engage. So if you are going to your full range in your hinge, you should feel a stretch as well as an engagement of building those muscles up in the back of our legs and our overall posterior chain. Okay, so we've covered the squat, we've covered the hinge. The last pattern for your lower body we're going to go through is a lunge pattern, which is nice to just open up the front of the hips. Now, there are many ways to do a lunge pattern, and we love exploring these in our classes and our sessions with our students, but we're going to keep it really simple today and keep it as a static lunge. This is a lunge that you can feel more stable in your base, especially if you have any knee issues. You can make sure that we're not really playing with balance too much. You can absolutely use a wall, stick for a bit of extra support. And then we're also going to load it up with some weight. So I'll just show you the base. We're going to make sure that our feet are not on a tight rope. They are hip width apart. And we're going to get into our split stance. So we want a nice long lunge so we can access some hip extension in this exercise. So just be aware, we don't want to be kind of here. We're going to take you might need to take a step and then a further step back so that as we come down to our lunge, we're going to bend the knee straight down like that elevator, like in our squat, and then press up. Now the back knee doesn't have to touch the ground. If you even want, you can put an extra bolster or a block or just let it hover is absolutely fine. Walk that back foot back a little bit more so we're getting a bit of an active stretch at the same time. This is how we work on both our strength and flexibility at the same time when we really kind of challenge our end ranges. So see if when you're in your lunge you can have a little bit of a tuck under and openness through the hip. And you'll also feel that you're getting that stretch in the back toe if you're not wearing shoes, especially because your feet are going to have to work as they go in contact with the floor and our toes are in that extension. All right, so let's load up. If you don't need the stick, you don't have to use a stick. There's a few ways you can load it up with the weights. If you've got 2 dumbbells, I always suggest when buying your weight, start with you grab a pair of dumbbells. Really good for just giving you more options. But you can also do it with one by just holding it at the front near your chest, just like we did in the squat. So you'd set yourself up and then inhale to go down in your nice long lunge, exhale, come up to 2 legs straight at the top. Cool, so you choose 2 or 1. If you do 2, you can just have the arms by your side. We've got 6 each side. So let's go. 6 and 5. See if you can keep that tuck under in the tailbone so you get that active stretch in the hip. 4. Good. You choose your depth. There's always a starting point, and we can increase our depth over time. 3 more. 3, 2. Last one here. Awesome. And we switch sides. Obviously, we've got to do both sides for this one. Remember to try and get the same distance on both sides here. And when we apply progressive overload, to make sure we're improving and getting stronger, you can do this by increasing your weights over time, but you can also increase your depth and get your end ranges stronger. So maybe by week 3, you're getting a little deeper in your lunge. Maybe 2 more? That's it. Last one? Okay, you're done. Okay, so that is our basic lower body sequence. You can get so much bang for your buck with just those 3 exercises and slowly progressing them over time. If you're going to do them as a workout or a training session, you want to at least do 3 sets. If you can, do 5 sets to really get those repetitions and build your muscle. All right, let's go to upper body. So some upper body foundations we want to cover with you. The first is a push, and then we're going to go to a pull. So we can be nice and even through our shoulders and chest and back. So a push-up. Let's go through your basic push-up. If you haven't checked out our push-up tutorial, I highly recommend you go check that out for all the tips and our common mistakes that people make. But we have a block here because it's very good to measure where you are at in your push-up depth. And then we just want to make sure that our setup initially is correct and we have good form. So you can be kneeling with the knees back, finding your plank position, which means that we have one long line from your knees to the crown of the head, or if you're in your full push-up, it'll be one long line from your heels to the crown of your head. And then again, you want to make sure our elbows are kind of coming out about 45 degrees, so they're not full tricep, but we're also not chest. Those are just different variations, which are totally fine as well, but let's keep this basic to start with. So you're going to make sure that as you come down, you get a tap with whatever height of the block you are going to do. We inhale to go down, get the tap, exhale, press away. So we're going to start with 6 repetitions here. So you want to find your greatest depth or most difficult push-up that you can do doing 6 reps. So Martin started, that's 2. Inhale to go down, exhale, press away, maintaining your core stability, ribs to the back body. And as you press up, really spreading those shoulder blades up at the top. So most people will feel like they have a bit more of like, it feels like they have a rounded spine, but that is what we want. We want to find that whole body, that rounded spine at the top, that plank, and make sure we're not dipping in our lower back. All right, so pretty simple, 6 push-ups in 1 round, making sure that you are using some sort of block or measure to make sure you know where your starting point is and you can progress that over time. Now, we want to match that now with a row. We are going to go for a single arm row. Now, for this one, I suggest using a bench because it just gives you a better counter to make sure you've got support on the opposite side. You could also totally use your knee. You could also put your knee on the bench, so knee and hand as a variation on the bench. But it really simply, you can just have the feet off and one hand to support you on the bench and the other hand holding the weight. Now, before we start, I want to just bring your awareness to your shoulder blade. So if you have a straight arm, you can slide the arm down and you'll feel your shoulder blade slide forward. And then you can pull that shoulder blade back without bending the elbow and you'll feel that retraction of the shoulder. Now that is the point. We don't want to over retract and rotate, but you want to get that shoulder blade in line with the other one first. And then we're bending the elbow almost towards the back hip. So it's going elbow to the back without, I often see people kind of try and pull the hand to the shoulder and kind of add in a bicep curl. We really want to get the back working. And so you'll underestimate the actual weight you can use for a row. It's going to be probably your heaviest upper body weight that you can use because we're not really even just using the arm. We're using our back here and you've also got that counter support. All right, so let's go. You're going to find 6 repetitions on one side. We're going to go with that shoulder blade retraction and then elbow back for 6, 5. Again, you always exhale on the hardest part of the exercise, so the pull. 4, 3, 2, last one here. 1, awesome work. And then you obviously have to do the other side. Yep, I'll switch over with Marty. So same thing, make sure you're starting with that hand underneath the shoulder. We want the shoulder blade and then the elbow pulls back. It should almost feel like we're pulling to the back pocket of our shorts or whatever you're wearing. Good, to get your 6 reps happening here. Exhale to pull. Everything else should be staying pretty solid. We don't want to get any movement in the spine. We're just mastering these simple movement patterns. Okay, awesome. So we've done our push-pull, the last overhead press, which is really important to maintain, especially as we get older. You only have to look at like an older person or elderly person and they start to lose their overhead range. Suddenly this is an inaccessible range of motion, and then adding on a weight, it's even harder, but it's such an important exercise to maintain. Now, you can go with this as a base of support kneeling. You can also do it just seated is a really good base of support, or you can be standing. I think seated is a great start because it's really going to ground your base so that you can't really cheat when you're seated because, you know, there's only so much you can move. And even if you want more core support, you can even give yourself like a block to squeeze and to keep your pelvis and everything else stable. I suggest starting when you're doing your overhead press to do a single arm at a time. You know, I see a lot of workout videos and they're either like alternating or doing a double arm. It's just really hard to maintain intention and control. To start with, do one arm at a time and do it well. So for your starting point, you're going to have your elbow nice and close into your chest. This is probably you're going to find the hardest in terms of weight. So you may need to go a fair bit like lighter, for example, than what you did with your row. Martin's fine with this. You may have to start somewhere lighter and slowly build it up over time. Okay, so again, as you exhale, the hardest part, we're going to press the arm up. And if you can, we're going to try and go from the weight being in towards us to then the weight facing forward in front of us. So the palm of the hand is going to go up. What you want to try and do is get your tricep next to your ear. So what a lot of people do is they kind of press in front of them. And you don't want that, or they'll start to use their back to press. So if you're using your back or arching your back, it's too heavy and you need to like pull it back a little bit. All right, so let's go for 6 on one side, elbow nice and tucked in, and then we press the arm overhead, trying to get that tricep near your ear and coming down. We also don't want to take the whole shoulder blade to your ear. You want to maintain that shoulder blade sliding down as your arm goes up. Good. You might be helpful to have your hand on the front of the chest so that doesn't arch forward and keeps the chest nice and down. Let's go for 2 more. Yeah. Press on your exhale, inhale to come in. Exhale, press. Good. All right, let's switch sides. Elbow tucked in, press overhead and coming in. So if you find this movement difficult, it's probably just giving you intel on maybe some mobility issues going on in your shoulder, or maybe it's just weakness, because how often do we actually use our overhead strength? So this is why it's so important to practice. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale, press up. Inhale, come in. Exhale, press up. Inhale, bring it back down. Drive it up, last round. Awesome work. Okay, so there you have it, a foundational, basic, simple, but don't estimate the power of building strength in those ranges of those 3 upper body. Again, we recommend to do those amount of reps, and if you feel like you could do more than the 6, again, you need to increase your weights. We also recommend you do somewhere around the 3 to 5 sets and repeat this at least weekly for, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks. You will definitely see improvement. If you do it, we would love to hear from you. Let us know how you go. And of course, if you're looking for that next step after these kind of exercises, you can start adding some variety and more challenge to your body. Then make sure you check out our programs and courses. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to moving with you soon.